here we go. Season 6, Episode 1, The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. This episode is entitled Hot Dogs and Hearsay. Ooh, obviously the hot dogs is because we cooked some hot dogs on this RV trip, and the hearsay is because a lot of the Lisa Barlow stuff is hearsay. This is the description the DirecTV gives us. Angie arranges a surprise RV trip for the women, but with Lisa gone for work, Bronwyn brings up some rumors she's heard about Lisa's business. Tensions brew as Brittany calls out Whitney. Heather and Bronwyn go head to head. That is a damn fine synopsis. It gets me excited. I love it. Nipples fully hard. I'm getting goose pimples everywhere. And let's start. Okay, so we begin. We get this beautiful shot. Like, oh my God, Christopher Nolan could never. Of the snow-capped mountains of Utah. There is snow on the ground. There is, little plants everywhere that you see, and a huge cloud fog is rolling over these snow-capped mountains, and we hear the beautiful choral music that we are so used to with Salt Lake City. Oh, 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 oh. It's very Jack Nicholson in The Shining, and we start there, and then we hear also violin music, and then all of a sudden we see a record button, like a video camera and like a camera frame. And all of a sudden we see flashbacks to fun memories on this trip. It seems like something that is played at some sort of remembrance of in better times. It's very Blair Witch Project mixed with Yellow Jackets, mixed with Green Day, time of your life playing over. Something unpredictable, and in the end is mine. I hope you had the time of your life. But it's eerie. We see Heather Gay flashing the peace sign next to Angie K. I mean, you can kind of tell it's them, but they're all wearing glasses that are the size of windshields. Angie K especially. Half the time you don't even see Angie K's face because it's literally covered with windshield-like glasses. Heather blows the camera a kiss, and all of a sudden we hear Mary Cosby's voice, the narration over these clips. She goes, true friendship unfolds over time. We see clips of Mary and Meredith hugging each other, and Brittany trying to get attention, Bronwyn laughing, Whitney posing. The voiceover continues, shaped by hardship. Grace, shared memories. We see Brittany dancing. We see Meredith blowing a kiss to the camera. Shared memories. And made safe with trust, Mary says. But when trust is gone, fear takes over. The music drops down and it goes, rah, like you're in a horror film all of a sudden. And there's a tight shot of Bronwyn, and the camera moves in closer. Then all of a sudden a red filter goes over, oh my God, they don't make it out of this camp trip alive, you guys. Blame points fingers, Mary says, and friends turn against friends. And my thought is, oh my God, they eat each other. Who do they eat first? I've always told you this. I got really scared as a young kid because my friend Dusty said that they would eat me first in an apocalypse. So I was like, oh my God, they're going to eat each other on this trip. And then we hear voiceover of the other cast members. And I think it's Meredith that goes, where are we? As we see the dark night with dark clouds going over the night. And then somebody says, just follow me. I think this is the way home. And then we hear Lisa's voice, which is weird because Lisa's not even this trip, but Lisa's like, you guys, this is not safe. Unless next episode, Lisa pops out of the bushes and I've been here the whole time and I heard you talking mad shit. But now it's that night vision camera, and Bronwyn's like, something does not feel right. I need to call in the Todd father. And then Bronwyn saying, you never said you're wrong. And then we flash back to a scene with Bronwyn, or maybe this is from this season, where Bronwyn's yelling, you were wrong to say that about Todd. Don't fucking speak about my family again. God. And then back to this stormy night where Meredith goes, can we go? And then somebody going, this is crazy. And then Meredith looking directly at the camera. Like she does look like the guy at the end of the Blair Witch that is just standing there in the room. And Meredith goes, this is crazy. And then I guess a scene from this season of Meredith going, you're a liar, and I find that to be despicable. I don't care. Meredith, when she's activated, is the best. Lindsay Hubbard, forget about it. Pack it in. Meredith Marks activated is where we get to. And then we see these ladies. It looks like they're like, it's like snow-covered train tracks. And somebody says, I don't know how we get home. And then Heather says, don't gaslight me. And then Heather in a Benjamin Franklin wig from a later part of this season goes, I did nothing wrong. And you're going to sit there and lie? And then somebody saying, you are the one that brought us out here. I'm done with you. Oh, Whitney goes, I'm done with you. I'm done with you. And then, and then Whitney in a scene from this season goes, she didn't stand up for you. Everyone talks about it, and I did not pile on. And then Mary Cosby goes, this is your fault. And then Angie K goes, she's degrading me. And then flash forward to a scene with Angie K from this season again. I will not have my reputation fucking questioned. And then back to the stormy night. Somebody says, stop yelling at each other. This is making it worse. And all the ladies look really scared. And then Mary's voiceover narration pops back in and says, and that's how the witch hunt begins. And all of a sudden, like this, like red squiggly lines, they're truly like, this is like the scarlet letter. I mean, it's just so eerie, you guys. I was like, holy shit. And then Mary Cosby in a scene goes, why are we here if we're not friends? If we all feel the same way, there's something wrong. And then the camera's like moving all janky and you see like little tree limbs. Like, I'm like, oh my God, they're all goners. They're dead. They're dead, folks. And that's where we get the title card with the Housewives pose. We got Whitney on the end. We got Bronwyn right next to her. We got Mary Cosby moving way up. Angie Katsanevas with the middle snowflake. Heather Gay right next to her. Lisa Barlow right next to her. And Meredith Marks at the very end. Brittany Bateman does not get a photo in this title card. So remember last season, at the beginning of the season, they did this same kind of intro, but they had Heather Gay do the narration. And remember, like the final shot was all of the ladies in a circle and it was an overhead camera shot and the ladies were like spinning. And I was like, holy shit, they're putting a lot of money into these intros. And they did this again, but I'm glad they gave the narration to Mary Cosby in this. I think that's well deserved. So it's another fun day in Salt Lake City. We see the sun rising over a mountain, clouds over, just clouds everywhere, you guys. And we hear the choral music. Ah, 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 ah. And all of a sudden we see a huge RV coming down a street. Ha, 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 ha. That's me. By the way, if any producers from Salt Lake City are listening, I would love to audition to be part of the choral. Ha, 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 ha. Anyways, it's a huge RV and it says Camping World on the front because we got to give Camping World a plug, right? And then we see a huge windshield, and then we see Angie Katsanevas driving with huge windshield glasses. Angie Katsanevas is driving this huge RV, you guys. Who would have thunk it? And we pulled up in front of Mary Cosby's house, and Angie lays on the horn. A honk, 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 a honk, a honk, honk. And then it's fun music. Dun, 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 dun. And the Angie title card comes up. Angie looking gorgeous in this, what looks like silver, what's that stuff? The tinfoil, like a silver tinfoil dress. Looks great. She's still laying on this horn. I hope Robert Jr. is not trying to sleep. The door finally opens and Mary Cosby appears. Angie gets out of the RV and she's like, Mary Cosby, here we go. Angie's being followed by one of her housekeepers and it looks like 5 bags. Mary Cosby's wearing like this really like black matched outfit with silver jewelry everywhere and a big black babushka hat. And who would have thought 2 seasons ago that Mary Cosby would be participating at this level, that she's about to get into an RV? And Angie says, Mary, you ready for your Class A getaway? And Mary just is like, why are you dressed like we're going to the office? Do you think Mary Cosby even knows what an office really is or looks like? But to her point, Angie K is dressed in like a Diane Keaton tan suit with these huge glasses. And Angie's like, Mary, can you believe we're doing this? Opa! And Mary just flatly goes, no, I can't. And she's like trying to get her luggage on. The poor housekeeper is like lugging all of this stuff and putting that. I mean, the housekeeper's just trying to get Mary Cosby out of the house. Like, let's get you into this RV. And then Angie K, because I was like, there's no fucking way they let Angie K drive this big RV over to Mary Cosby's house. My prediction was that they just let her like pull up for the shot. And then we find out that probably is true because Angie says, Mary, this is Teague. Teague, this is Mary. And it's just some random guy named Teague who's in like a green sports jacket, black tie, and a black hat that says Utah on it. Very reminiscent of Tamra's black FBI hat, but it says Utah. And Angie, it makes us very comfortable at this point because reveals Teague's going to be driving most of the way, so we can just sit back here and chill. And Angie's like, okay. And she's like, Mary's like, has a smile on her face. And then we get our first talking head from Angie K. I think that's Angie K. Or is that the gift I got for Christmas? Because she's just wearing a big old blue bow dress. A big old blue bow dress. She looks beautiful. Angie says, I know by the looks of my dress that you wouldn't believe that I would be into RV living. And I wasn't until Sean forced me to buy one 3 years ago. And we see their big RV and we see pictures of Sean and Electra and them roasting marshmallow. Of course, Sean's all man, dude. Of course he's into RV living. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if like the next episode is like, we're going gun shooting because Sean loves guns. He's a man. We're going to a Yellowstone ranch next. And then we're going to do a kegerator just because Sean loves it. But also, if they own this RV, I mean, why do we have to get another? Why can't we just use their RV? But that's probably smart. I wouldn't want these women like trashing my nice RV. But Angie says it has been the funnest time making memories with my family. Sorry, I just keep thinking about Lisa's, oh my God, I heard Sean gave circle jerks. Anyways, Angie lets Mary know we're going to take a little ride to pick up the ladies. Angie in a talking head says, so it dawned on me, why have I never done this with the ladies? Well, of course, that's a natural thought. You're out there RV living with your family and like, why haven't I done this with the monsters of reality television? Why? This would be so perfect for reality TV. Angie gets behind the wheel once again. And she's like, Mary, look at me in the wheel. Isn't it great? Honk, honk. Isn't it great? Look at me. And Mary's like, you're going to drive? Angie in a talking head goes, and I know the perfect person to host it with. She's like, yeah, I'm driving, Mary. And then Mary's like, am I going to live? Not according to that opener. You guys are in for the vacation from hell where you potentially die. Mary in a talking head says, my grandmother owned RVs, and all my life it was a part of growing up. How did everybody all of a sudden get into RV living on this cast? We see a picture of Rosemary, her grandmother, and Mary at the age of 5. Very cute photos, but all I could think about was like, is Rosemary the grandmother that was married to Mary's current husband? The step grandfather? Is that, how do we not bring that up at all? Of like, like Rosemary's into RV living and now Mary's married to Rosemary's husband? What? It's you just forget about these things, right? But Mary says, I don't love it as an adult with 8 other adults all squished together, and you can hear each other's thoughts, Can you imagine? And then we hear multiple voices go, liar. I bet Mary, like hearing other people's thoughts, I bet she can read minds. Like, I bet she's like clairvoyant. She has some like superpowers in that sense. So I bet though, and by the way, 8 people, there's bound to be a couple people that smell like hospital, right? And once again, we are talking about our friends over at Quince. You guys, I can't stop wearing the breathable navy sports jacket I have. I'm wearing it way too much. I need to go on Quince and get something new because I keep wearing it, but I love it so much. And as cooler temps are rolling in, Quince is where I'm turning for fall staples that actually last. From cashmere to denim to boots, the quality holds up and the price still blows me away. Quince has all kinds of fall staples that you are going to wear nonstop, like super soft 100% Mongolian cashmere sweaters starting at just $60. Their denim is durable and it fits right, and their real leather jackets bring that clean, classic edge without the elevated price tag. And what makes Quince different is they partner directly with ethical factories and skip the middlemen, so you get top-tier fabrics and craftsmanship at half the price of similar brands. That sounds really good. So keep it classic and cool this fall with long-lasting staples from Quince. Go to quince.com/sobad for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Just go to the website. You're going to find a lot of good stuff. That's quince.com/sobad. Free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/sobad. And then you hear Angie's voice in a voice go, "Hi, body count hair." And Mary says, "We're in for a ride." And then Meredith's voiceover goes, "You can leave." Angie says, "The girls have no idea, Mary, who's coming." In a voiceover, she says, "Look, it's no secret that after New York, there were some fractures in some of the friendships." And she means at the reunion, we flash back to the reunion where Lisa goes, "Fuck her." And Bronwyn's like, "Fuck me?" This was just 4 months earlier. And Lisa goes, "Fuck you, Brittany." And then Meredith goes, "Brittany?" And Brittany goes, "I am talking." And Meredith's like, "You're a liar, Brittany." And then Mary at the reunion going, "I just don't think you're honest about anything, Brittany." And then Lisa Barlow going, "I'm sick of everyone saying," and then Andy does his natural, like, "Not everybody can talk at once. Come on." And then we just see them all screaming at the reunion and Andy going, "Oh, I got a headache." Angie in a talking head goes, "So I'm pulling the old bait and switch. I have them thinking they're heading on a luxurious vacation. Little do they know, they're going to be sleeping in an RV." And we see 4 boxes pop up with the R. I love like RV things. It makes you feel like you're in a rock band. And you see that this is like a pretty nice RV. There's a lot of sleeping bags. And I know it looks nice. But Angie goes, "There's nowhere to run. There's nowhere to hide. It's you and your closest friends and your closest frenemies. Sing it, sister." And then the RV starts up and Mary says, "Jesus, take the wheel." Now, normally I say on these shows, God or Jesus or whoever you pray to does not want to be involved in these shows. But when I was watching this show, I thought, you know what? Maybe Jesus is like, you know what? I do like Salt Lake. Salt Lake, it's okay when they say my name. I'm actually super in. Jesus is like, I usually don't watch a lot of trash television, but this is really good. It's special, right? Like Jesus is like, God, let me stay up late and watch this. But Mary's like, "Jesus, take the wheel." And Andy's like, "Take the wheel, baby." And then Teague, the driver, he's just laughing in the back. He's like, "Ha ha ha ha." I would love it if like this guy's here the whole season. And then Mary Cosby goes, "Class A getaway, let's do it. Here we go." And then the RV just starts off. I mean, I would never trust Angie K driving this. No offense. So we see that we see the RV going through these snowy streets, and Mary Cosby's like, "Slow down." And Angie's like, "Do you feel safe with me?" Angie K's like, I'm not looking. And then Angie's like, "Mary, do you want to be the driver?" And Mary's like, No. I'm good. But this thing is like taking turns. We like speed up the images as the RV's floating. And then we wind up at one of the most haunted places in Bravo history, Beauty Lab and Laser, where a couple of short years ago, ATF and the FBI came to arrest Jen Shah. But Jen Shah fled the scene. She fled the scene. Like, I mean, how batshit crazy that she genuinely fled the scene. and said a bunch of excuses for it. And then that was the day Lisa Barlow was like, I'm going to get on the phone with my 60 lawyers. We're going to do this. So we're out front of Beauty Lab and Laser, and Heather, some of the ladies are out there waiting for, I guess, Angie K. And Heather's like, so where do you guys think we're going? Angie kept saying glamorous. And I was like, and Whitney's like, that's what Mary kept saying, as first class. And they're like, yeah, class A. And we see the ladies. Bronwyn is in this very like beautiful, I don't know, what is it, like Indian design, red and blue. I don't know. And she has, do you see she has like a big drink from Swig? And Swig is that drink place that all the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives gals go to. And I was like, very smart, Bronwyn. I see what you're doing here. But when he's like, I tried to call and get info from Mary and she wouldn't budge. And Heather's like, oh, Angie, I thought she'd sing like a canary. Heather seems to be wearing some like blue camouflage mink coat. Brittany's there also looking like she's in a brown fur and like a two-piece brown suit like. And Meredith Marks is just very, she has her glasses on. She's just smiling, very unassuming, not really saying anything. And Heather's like, yeah, Angie was so mysterious. As you know, anything. And when he's like, where are they? And then finally Meredith speaks. And Meredith's like, no, I mean, I called Mary. I didn't ask anything other than for help with packing. Should I have brought my horrible Audrey Hepburn bangs? Heather in a talking head says, based on the invite, there's only a few places we can be going. There's a private plane, there's a pier over water, and we see Angie and Mary's invitation. And it's like Canva can never. It says Class A getaway, bring bikinis, boots, and blessings. And it has a dock, and it looks like you see a sailboat on the ocean and like a private jet flying over the dock. So Angie really fooled these ladies because they all think they're going to somewhere tropical, right? Heather goes, but then the invite also said boots. Bronwyn, in her talking head, she's wearing some like kind of purple Big Bird number. She's like, I've packed a little bit of everything. I could be helicoptering for all I know. I'm ready for anything. Back to the scene, Heather's just like, where the hell is Angie? I like this because it's like, ladies, vamp, improv a little while we wait for this RV. And then Brittany's like, we're waiting for Angie and Mary. Yeah, no shit. And then when he's like, Angie and Mary and Lisa? And Brittany's like, yeah, where's Lisa? And Meredith goes, no, Lisa's not coming. And everybody looks confused, like, Zoiks? What? Huh? And Meredith is like, oh, you didn't know that? And there's just pause. Heather in a talking head goes, so now seems like I love that Heather's like the reliable narrator. I don't trust you, Heather. So now seems like a good time to update you, she says, and where everyone stands with each other after I pulled that bullshit game at the end of last season. And then Heather says, Meredith cannot stand Brittany. Heather is not she says, I'm not a fan of Bronwyn's. I'm not actually really sure where Mary stands with anyone. That's fair. And that's kind of what you get with Mary, Heather says. And then there's Angie, Whitney, and especially Bronwyn, who are all not getting along with Lisa right now. And then all the ladies in there talking head goes, no. Heather goes, one might ask why, I just burped, one might ask why we're going on a girls' trip when there are 5 ongoing disputes. It's almost like we're filming a show of The Real Housewives. But that's actually kind of tame for this group. Back in the scene, Whitney goes, oh my goodness, has anyone heard from them? And they're like, no, check your phones. Where are they? I need to vamp for time. And then all of a sudden we see the RV pull in. The choral music is playing. Heather goes, they haven't texted. I don't know where they are. The RV's pulling around the corner and where they can finally see it. And all of a sudden, we hear a horn. Angie loves to lay on this horn, like, rah, rah, rah. And Brittany's like, what in the world? And Bronwyn's like, oh, for fuck's sake. Oh, for fuck's sake. And Angie's like, look at their faces. Look at their faces. And then everybody's like, oh my God, Angie's driving. Angie's driving. And then everybody's laughing, except for Meredith, who's on her phone. She's like just fully looking down at her phone. The rest of them are like, yeah, oh my God, we're overacting right now. And Brittany keeps going, no, 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 no. Meredith finally pipes up and she's like, I don't understand. And Brittany goes, this is horrible. This is horrible. And then Angie pops open the door and goes, Class A getaway, ladies. Oh my God, Heather says, what are you doing to us? Angie's like, you all look so good, ladies. Mary comes bouncing out like she's dancing. Like, this is me after like a couple Red Bulls. I thought she was about to start breakdancing. Mary's just like so happy. Hugs are being given to all of the ladies. Angie's like, look at Meredith. Look at Meredith. I don't know if Meredith realizes where she's at. Angie goes, Meredith, don't worry. We'll make it worth your while. And then Brittany goes, wait, are we not flying somewhere? And Meredith gives a look like, yeah. And there's a big pause. And Angie finally goes, no. And Brittany's like, you gave me a vacation with a plane and I'm ready for bikinis. And then she opens up her little brown suit and we see that she's wearing a black bikini top. Like, I don't even care if you were going somewhere tropical. Would you wear the bikini top on the plane? Like, what are we doing here? I was like, did I see Nip? What is happening here? And Heather goes, this RV is a plane, Professor Positive already over there. And Angie's like, I cannot believe Brittany showed up in a bikini. In a talking head, Angie goes, God bless Brittany's little heart, just reading the invite and taking every word so literal. Did they all get different invitations than me? Brittany goes, the invitation said bikinis, boots, and blessings. I love that Brittany's like, I usually do wear boots with my bikinis. But Brittany's like, I mean, why am I the only one wearing a bikini? Because you're a goof. Heather goes, you really took the theme to heart. Heather in a talking head goes, I have no idea where we're going, but unless she's planning going to a pool party with a congressman, I'm not sure where this outfit works. Oh, Heather, with your little joke about Congress. Anyways, they're all like, let's go. This can't be good for Beauty Lab and Laser's business, right? Anyways, Mary, you lead, they say. And Angie's like, come on in, I'll show you around the RV. And Bronwyn comes in and is like, oh my God, wow, this is cool. Bronwyn slits into one of the little table seats and she's like, here, I'm going to take one for the team and go backwards. If I get sick, I'll swear to God I'll try to be nice. Heather goes, how do we all fit with our overextended egos? So they're like, Meredith, you grab a seat. And Meredith's like, okay, yeah. And Mary's like, we're going to be close quarters for now, but it's only temporary. And we're going to hope for the best. Bronwyn in a talking head goes, I live my life as a germaphobe. Of course you do. Of course you live. This is the second. By the way, Bronwyn might be in for a tough second season. A lot of Housewives, if you are celebrated in the first season, you're usually set up for some sort of downfall. But I love that germaphobe, the germaphobe aspect of. I hope we get more of Bronwyn being a germaphobe. She goes, it's a very small enclosed space. I don't like when other people are like coughing, breathing, eating. I don't like when people exist. We're all using the same air for everything. I'm sharing air with Brittany. She's barely wearing clothing. If anybody could make a hazmat suit chic on a camping trip, it would have been me. I just needed a little advance notice. Angie tells the ladies, we thought it'd be special that we're like clothes. And Heather's like, I love a road trip. And Brittany's like, we are really close. Meredith's already in a seat and she just has all of her bags on top of her. She's just childlike in here, right? Anyways, a tequila bottle is already out, and Angie's like, so, does anyone want a shot? I'll take a shot. Brittany, oh God, Brittany Cartwright. Oh, did I hear shots? Shots. So she's already pouring shots for the ladies, and Whitney's like, yes. And they're like, you're not driving, right, Angie? And she's like, no, remember they have the driver. And then Whitney goes, Ange, hold on. Who's coming towards the bus? And they're like, what? What's going on? And all of a sudden we see a guy in dark clothing with handcuffs in his hand, because that's how professional police officers do it. They are always lead with the handcuffs already in the hand. That's professional FBI stuff, right? And then all of a sudden we see and they have like SWAT on their jackets. And somebody's like, wait, why are the police here? And then we see a SWAT officer go towards the door of the RV, and we hear like breaker, breaker, and Mary Cosby's like, oh my God, they finally found out my church was funneling money. Like, no. But everybody's like, why are they surrounding? And Heather's like, I'll go check it out. And Meredith's like, is this a joke? Meredith all of a sudden comes to wake. She's like, oh my God, is this a joke? When he goes, what is happening? Is this a joke? And he's like, they're surrounding the RV, you guys. And all of a sudden, there's like 7. But by the way, this is just, they're janky costumes. I wish they had really paid good money for really professional costumes. But Heather walks out and she's like, what's going on? And the police is like, the police officer's like, hey, we're looking for Whitney Rose. And Bronwyn's like, he's looking for you, Whitney. And then the SWAT guy knocks on the inside of the RV, and police is like, we're looking for Whitney Rose. And the driver's just like, wait, what? What did I get myself into? And Heather's like, Whitney! And then in a talking head, Heather goes, this is like PTSD. Putsta, as PK would say. And then we flash back to the Jen Shah where the producer goes, you guys, there's police. And they have handcuffs out 4 years earlier. And then the actual SWAT team 4 years ago goes, we're looking for Jen Shah. And Heather says, it says NYPD. And Lisa Barlow goes, what the fuck is going on? In the talking head, Heather goes, what the fuck? And says, Whitney! Again, just so much screaming. And everybody, all the girls inside are screaming. And then Whitney gets out of the RV finally. She's like, what's going on? And they're like, are you Whitney Rose? I am Whitney Rose. Is there a problem? And the police officer goes, I need to place you under the arrest. And handcuffs one of her hands. And they're like, why are they handcuffing her? And everybody's like, oh my God. Meredith shits herself. Oh my God, my bowels just came loose. And then the police officer goes, you've been a bad girl, which is not like, I was still kind of like, this could be the police. That does seem like something the police would say. And he goes, you've been a bad girl, Whitney, a very bad girl. And then he starts like doing a roly-poly on his body, like a very bad girl. Yeah. And then all the ladies clap. Oh my God, they're only strippers. And then all the strippers start taking their shirts off in the Beauty Lab and Laser parking lot. Yeah, you're going to do 5 to 10 of these inches. Oh, yeah. And then Whitney goes, hey, Mutt, guess who's been worse? My girlfriends. Go get them. And then the strippers enter the RV. In a talking head, Whitney goes, the minute I heard that we were departing from Beauty Lab, I knew I had to pull a prank. I love that Whitney, this is the kind of self-producing I don't mind. I knew the moment it was going to be in Beauty Lab. I would also imagine in this strip mall that Beauty Lab and Laser is in, there is like a male stripper store of some sort. But anyways, Angie's like, oh my God, there's no way there's this many cops at one stop. When he goes, I hired the strippers to come to the Beauty Lab parking lot. And I told them to wait for my signal, the Whitney signal. And we see her text, meet us at the giant RV in front of Beauty Lab. And I want everybody to chub up. And Whitney goes, it was a lot harder than I thought to find male strippers in Utah. They should have had dad talk from... Anyways, we see the strippers come in, like dancing in the RV, and all of a sudden, like dollar bills are being thrown. So somebody must have like already procured dollar bills. Heather says, I'm just glad there are no federal charges pending this time. There is a federal charge. Your horrible jokes and talking heads, Heather. And when he goes, surprise, ladies, I thought we'd kick out the party right. And then you got it gets like dark though. All the strippers take their pants off, and it's just like you see a lot of penis and balls. And I was like, this is family. No, we don't see that. But like all of a sudden, Angie's making it rain. Bronwyn's like, yeah. Angie says, I wouldn't mind a stripper if he was closer to my age, but when they're like old enough to throw over your shoulder and burp them, it feels kind of weird. And the one guy just keeps like doing the thrusting motion, and Meredith's now awkwardly laughing like, you don't have to leave. Mary in a talking head goes, no, 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 and no. Not unless there's one old enough to be my grandfather. But everybody's Mary, like one of the strippers is going up to Mary, and Mary's like, you don't even know me. You don't even know. But the stripper's like, I want to get to know you, Mary. Mary in a talking head, though, then throws shade at the stripper and goes, I mean, where were the muscles? Okay, never mind. And then Whitney in the RV goes, girls trip, girls trip, girls trip, girls trip. This is exactly what I envisioned, and this is how you start a fun girls trip. Yeah. And then all the strippers exit with their shirts, their blouses off. And Whitney's like, thank you, boys. Thank you. And Heather's like, door shut, ready to roll. And the driver's like, are you guys ready? And the driver's name's Teague. You guys ready? Oh man, those dancers should have like thrusted up on Teague. So they hit the highway, the freeway. We see the snow-capped mountains once again. They're going under tunnels. It really does. Utah seems really beautiful for being such a weird place. We see all the ladies cheersing with shots. Like, yeah. Meredith is still like in the seat farthest away from everybody. She's like, cheers, cheers. And then Bronwyn's like, where are we going? And Angie's like, we're going somewhere about an hour away. And Heather goes, an hour? North, south, east, or west? And Angie's like, south. And then Brittany's like, so Brittany's drinking a sugar-free Red Bull. I feel like that's dangerous for her. Brittany's like, so we're going to pass my house. And then Mary goes, maybe we can drop you off. Boom. Mary Cosby, undefeated. Maybe we can drop you. Oh, and Brittany goes, very funny, Mary. Very funny. You're so cute when you're rude. In a talking head, Mary goes, you know, some people just get on your nerves. Brittany in her talking head goes, I'm like, hello, hello, hello. In a talking head back to Mary, Mary goes, she's one of them that gets on your nerves. Angie says, we got about an hour, ladies, to gaze into each other's eyes and talk about whatever we want. And then it's just silence. And then finally Heather goes, where's Lisa? Choral music. Ah, ah, ah. And Angie's like, she does a shot. We cut to our first commercial break. Guys, this is going to be a long one. I'm enjoying myself. We come back from break and Angie K goes, well, she was very kind of not very clear. She said she had some work going on, so she was going to go out of town. And then we have the FaceTime with 5 days earlier with Angie K. And we see Lisa Barlow for one of the only times this episode. And she very, very clearly states, I don't want to spend the night with Bronwyn. She's got cooties. No, she goes, she's a pathological liar. She can't tell the truth to save her life. It's like disgusting. Angie K goes, okay, I got it. And Lisa continues, she's psychotic. And Angie's like, not even for one. After all of that, she's psychotic. Not even for one day? And then Lisa goes, also, I have a work thing. It's like kind of a big deal. And Angie's like, really? Okay. I think what people forget is I have a very full life because I keep it kind of private. And like, I keep it really close to the vest. And like, she goes, Lisa Barlow goes, and she goes, and like, I'm not going to drop names. Lisa Barlow is never one for dropping names. She's never brought up meeting Snoop Dogg. And like, I'm not going to drop names, but like, she goes, but like, she goes, I'm, I needed it. She goes, I'm not one who, I'm not one, I'm not one, sorry, be professional. I'm not one for dropping names, but I'll be, I'll be with Ben and Blake. And then we see pictures of Blake Lively and Ben Affleck pop up on screen. And then Lisa Barlow pops up in the middle. I'm going to be with Blake and Ben. And mind you, This is after the It Ends With Us drama started. This is this is like January, right? And Angie goes, yeah, Ben and Blake. And then Lisa continues in case Angie doesn't get it. I'll be with Ben Affleck and you'll be with Bronwyn. So Lisa used in such a sparing amount, but my God, did that provide me one of the best laughs of this entire hour and a half. And Heather goes, I mean, it's not like her to not be here. And then Mary Cosby goes, right, she doesn't miss. Even Mary Cosby's like, I do attendance. She doesn't miss. And then Angie's like, well, I wasn't very clear if it really was work or if it was more the fact that Bronwyn was coming on the trip. And we invited everyone. And then Whitney goes, it's probably Bronwyn because we know she's not working. Ooh, Whitney. And Bronwyn's like, don't blame it on me. And then Brittany goes, I talked to her. She was definitely working. She has a huge work thing. You know, Brittany heard Ben and Blake, and she was like, oh my God, I'm going to go. I was just trying on bikinis. But she's like, this is a huge work thing. And when he's like, she would miss a girls' trip over work. And Brittany's like, yeah, don't drag her. Don't drag her. I'm just saying, I don't think she's working. And then there's silence. And then Brittany decides to step up and goes, you're one to talk. And Whitney's like, what are you talking about? And then Brittany goes, your business is getting dragged like crazy right now in social media. And Heather's like, zoinks. Meredith is like literally zoinked out. She's like, but Heather's like, ooh. And it's silence and ding, 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 ding. Dung, dung. And all of a sudden on the screen, a reality blurb headline, Whitney Rose is accused of being involved with MLM scheme and gets called out on TikTok. That's one place you don't want to get called out on. Alibaba. And so it's very serious. They leave this headline up for like 5 or 6 seconds, weirdly enough. And then Whitney's like, Whitney's kind of like, am I getting called out by Brittany, baby? Are you kidding me, Brittany? And Brittany's like, no, I'm not kidding. Don't come at Whitney like this. I'm sorry. I will stand 12 toes down for Whitney. I'm sorry. But Whitney goes, you don't know anything about my business. In a talking head, Brittany goes, I think Whitney's just saying this because she feels emboldened that Lisa's not here and she can say whatever she wants and get away with it. And she doesn't think anyone's going to defend her. But, oh, no. Au contraire, mon frere, I'm going to. Brittany Bateman is going to. Lover of one of Jared Osmond's lovers. And Whitney's like, I was questioning where Lisa was. And Brittany's like, yeah, and that was super shady because she's actually on a business trip. You know nothing about my business. I just think, Whitney, that you don't have any right. And then Whitney goes, what do you do for work? How do you make money, Brittany? And then there's silence. And then Whitney throws in sucking dick. That wasn't necessary. I mean, how do you make... Come on, Whitney. She doesn't suck dick for money. And Teague, the driver, goes, oh my God. Brittany's like, are you kidding me, Whitney? Yeah, you just went there with me, Brittany. And it is so undeserved. And now Angie K's taking the tequila bottle and just drinking it out of the bottle. And Brittany's like, your businesses are being dragged on social media. She keeps saying dragged on social media. Like, was she told to say this? And Whitney goes, I'm at rock bottom, bitch. I'll climb my way on top of you. Good for you, Whitney. I'm at rock bottom and I'll climb my way on top of you. And then Heather goes, we're having a girls trip. And somebody says Bronwyn, she has any right to drag Lisa. And Brittany's like, she's doing it because she's not here. And then she kind of like puts, like, Brittany gets her hands close to Bronwyn. And Bronwyn's like, keep your hands out of my face or I'll jump in too. I have been many gang jump-ins at BYU before I got kicked out. Brittany goes, Lisa is a really true friend. She is a good friend, and I'm not going to let someone throw shade when she's not there. Here. And everybody's like, she's a really good friend. What? Heather in a talking head goes, I don't really know when Lisa and Brittany became such good friends. You'd have to ask Lisa. And then we go to Lisa's talking head, but it's just crickets and she's not there in her background. And it says Lisa question mark on a business trip question mark, question mark, question mark. Classic Salt Lake joke. Brittany in a talking head goes, Lisa's like a sister to me. Dude, Brittany is on Mars, man. She goes, I got really close to her after Puerto Vallarta, and we see pictures of them in December of 2024. And Brittany goes, and just because she and Meredith are close, it doesn't affect our relationship. In the scene, Heather goes, Brittany, don't say anything mean about Whitney's business. Especially, don't kick a one-legged down. She goes, especially, don't kick a one-legged dog when they're down. And Whitney's like, I'm right here. Don't talk about me like I'm not here. And Heather's like, drink your juice, Shelby. And then all of a sudden the RV horn honks and it like swerves a little bit and all the stuff like falls. The fridge like goes open and everybody's like, oh my heavens. Oh my heavens, you guys. And then we see this beautiful, a river runs through it, the mountain, the choral music. Oh, oh, shots of clouds. We're in nature, you guys. Even though they were just fighting, we see this beautiful nature at the Provo River Resort RV Park. And Angie's like, we're here. Look how beautiful it is. And everybody's like, what is going on? As they start to see the RVs, we hear a one-legged dog bark in the background. And Woody's like, oh my God, we're at a campsite. And everybody's just like, oh my God. Like you would think like camping is like just the filthiest thing ever. It's these reactions like, oh my God. When he goes, there's a diesel with a broken down trailer, a school bus. Mary's like, oh my goodness. There's an old tractor. I see an old tractor. Andrew goes, oh, look, I only saw it on the website. I haven't seen it in person. Mary's like, is this a joke? When he's like, this is a junkyard. And Mary goes, this isn't for real. This isn't for real. We see a railroad crossing sign. And then Heather's like, is that a dumpster? We see an old man taking a shit behind the dumpster. No, we don't see that. But everybody's just like, what the hell? Bronwyn goes, so I was picturing like a glamorous cabin. And we see in her like a beautiful cabin. I was picturing like a really fabulous chef. And then we would like, oh, it's so freezing. And we'd run out to the hot tub. And then the needle scratches. I was not expecting to be camping. Ha! The RV wheels squeal. And Bronwyn's like, I was not expecting to be in an RV. Was not expecting to be in a sleeping bag next to Brittany. You know, all of my least favorite things. No. And then I think Angie's the first one to come out. Oh, wow. As she's surveying the area. Here we are, ladies. Heather says, remember how excited I was this morning? Wow, here we are. Everybody's saying, oh my gosh. And Meredith's like, is it muddy? Mary goes, is there anywhere we can walk where there's no mud? And Angie's like, yeah, Mary, there's like this little patch right here. And Brittany is in like these high heels in her bikini, just on gravel. And Mary says, we're just not in nature. We're in the trenches. This is how Jesus glamped, you guys. Mary says there's mud, trees. It looks like it's haunted. And we hear a crow fly and we see like skeleton bones of some sort of animal. Angie says, we're going to have dinner here. And when he's like, we're staying here? We're sleeping? Heather goes, are we having tents or inside the RV? And Angie's like, we're going to sleep in the RV. And Mary Cosby goes, I don't like it. Whitney in a talking head goes, I grew up camping. We had a Winnebago. So I'm excited. I'm down to clown. But when I think Mary Cosby, I think bougie, luxury, high-end white glove service, Dom Perignon. I don't think RV. So it really surprises me that Mary planned this trip. Like, does she know what we're doing? She doesn't even know what she's doing. Mary in the talking head goes, I don't even know how my name got attached to this. Like, this is not me. Andrew goes, this is our dining room, and you ladies are sitting on our lunch table right now, because the ladies are sitting up on the table. Let's get lunch started so we can start our activity. And Brittany's like, I'm starving. Let's do this. Yeah, Brittany's like, I'm just glad to be here, you guys. So all the ladies are bringing out like this like kind of covered food, like trays of sandwiches that you would get from your local grocery store. And they pull the sandwich lid off, and Brittany goes, yum. Whitney goes, I'm going to need some alcohol. And, let's get the tequila. So they're all sitting around this table, the choral music. Oh, oh. Heather goes, the sandwiches look delicious. They just look cold, the sandwiches. And she says, welcome to nature, no phones, just bonding. And then Brittany stands up. Yeah, we get our first speech from Brittany. He goes, hey, everybody, I have a little fun activity planned for us. I didn't clear this with the hostess, but I actually think since I'm the video girl and you all know me as the video girl, and I was like, oh my God, does she have video, music video experience? But then I remember it's because she was illegally recording all the ladies last season, not unlike Katie Janela with Shannon Bedore on this season of OC. And then we flash back to last season where Angie goes, Brittany, why are you recording the conversation? And Meredith, remember, with the fisheye lens, looking like Missy Misdemeanor Elliott, going, you're recording us? I have had enough! And then back in this scene, Brittany goes, I brought some camcorders for us. Yeah! So we're going to make a little video diary of our fun weekend away. And everybody's just staring at her. Somebody coughs. And Angie's like, what a great idea. Everybody, Meredith goes back to eating, and she has a camera for everybody. This is such a production plant scene. I don't think Brittany went out of her way to buy a bunch of fucking old school video cameras for everybody. There's just no way. Brittany wouldn't even know, no way. But she's passing out the video cameras, and she's like, pop off the front, open it up, and it turns on. And so then we have this old school kind of video look intercut with what they're filming. The editing's actually pretty damn good in this episode. Brittany's like, the record button's right here, you guys. And Angie's like, this is so old school. And we see Heather filming Bronwyn. The ladies are starting to have fun with these video cameras. I like this. I want an old school video camera. Where do you get these old school ones? Heather zooms in on the food. And Angie goes, we don't want any sex videos with these. I might, but anyways. Whitney goes, this is our first camping trip. We're professionals. Well, not ours. We're professionals. Bronwyn's like, I'm excited. My first night in an RV. You mean the Todd father never took Bronwyn on an RV? I'm the Todd father. I'm going to take you on an RV trip to your dreams. I will say, I love that this is all the ladies, but you do sort of miss the men of Salt Lake City. You miss the Todd father. You miss, hey, it's me, Seth Marks. I bet you guys missed me. I was a little freaky on Next Gen NYC, where I said I was looking to get as sexy as possible with as many people as possible. Meredith's on this trip, and I'm just here on the internet getting my freak on. I'm in Canton, Ohio. So the ladies are having fun. Everybody's doing the peace sign way too much. Is that back in vogue? I don't know. Mary Cosby's trying to learn. I could watch a whole hour of Mary Cosby trying to work a video camera. But Whitney goes, this wasn't on my bingo card for today, but I'm happy to be here with all of you. And Heather goes, I love being in nature. It puts everything in perspective, you know? Angie goes, I think the bigger thing that's weird here is that Lisa didn't join our trip. Silence from the other ladies. And Brittany goes, yeah. More silence from the ladies. In a talking head, Heather goes, when someone plans a girls' trip, you go. And when you don't go, it's to make a statement, you know? Like, we would have rearranged the trip around her schedule, I'm sure. It just seems like a way for her to say, I'm not sure I'm into you guys as much as you're into me. I mean, it is kind of a baller power move on Lisa's part. I can't, but all the ladies say it kind of feels weird. And then when he's like, well, she hasn't shared anything with me, but I mean, I read what's online and I think there's a lot out there. And everybody's like, zoinks. The choral music picks up. Oh, oh, oh. And when he's like, she just has a lot of people accusing her of crazy accusations. And Meredith goes, didn't she just mention this to us the other day, Heather? And say everything was situated? And Heather goes, it's all bullshit. And Brittany's like, that's what she said to me too. I'm a close personal friend of Lisa Barlow. And then Bronwyn goes, it doesn't sound that way to me. And everybody's like, what? In a talking head, Bronwyn's like, it's interesting timing for Lisa to be too busy to go on a free girls trip. I mean, maybe she's too busy reading about herself in the press with all of her lawsuits. It's just very convenient timing for Lisa's schedule to be maxed out. Ooh! Bronwyn around the table goes, what I've heard is that there's multiple issues and that some of them are not done yet. Everybody's like, zoinks? What? And then Brittany's like, no way. For somebody who's so worried about my finances or your jewelry or what your husband may or may not have done that she heard from somebody else or never did or whatever you want to call it. I'm talking about circle jerks here. For somebody who talks an awful lot, maybe she should spend some of that time working on the stuff she's got to fix. Angie goes, you, Bronwyn, seem like you know something that you don't want to say. And Bronwyn stares at Angie K. And Heather goes, spit it out, Bronwyn. Yeah, just say it. Lisa's go-to accusation is all of us are liars when she doesn't like what we say. And she is the one pointing it out and never sharing it with us. What about her life that is difficult or messy or frankly maybe even fucking bullshit about her own life? And Whitney kind of shakes her head like, I kind of agree with you. And Brittany puts her face into her hand. Cut to commercial break. We come back and Bronwyn had given her whole speech and Whitney's like, that's why Lisa talks. And Bronwyn shakes her head, yes. And Mary's like, I mean, it's like we're not allowed to talk about her stuff, but she can always talk about ours. And Bronwyn's like, and by the way, most of the lawsuits that I have looked at, I don't know of, but I've seen at least 5 lawsuits that have been filed against Lisa or Lisa's businesses or Lisa and her husband. And Heather's like, 5 lawsuits against Lisa Barlow? Lisa and John, yes. And Mary goes, actually, yes. Even Mary Cosby's like, actually, yes, yeah. It's definitely out there. And then Heather, I don't understand. You know exactly what law. Oh my God. You can't play dumb and smart at the same time. We always say that. Heather is like the queen of this. You know exactly. You knew exactly what Brittany meant when she was making fun of Whitney's businesses in the RV, but all of a sudden, what even is a suit law? Oh, a lawsuit? I don't even know how to say it. I don't understand. Angie goes, I do know what. And Bronwyn's like, it's serious allegations and it is for a lot of money. Heather's like, so she's litigating? She's in court right now? I don't know today, Heather. I don't know about that. Heather goes, and you're reading this in testimonials? You're Googling? And Bronwyn's like, it's in the Salt Lake City Tribune. And the headline pops up, one of the Real Housewives is being sued, accused of not paying back more than $400,000 in loans. Now, listen, we all knew about this to some degree. This isn't some big shock. I did a whole Patreon episode about all of Lisa Barlow's lawsuits last year. And I also want to say, just because somebody is being sued, that is not Meredith is about to say, it's not a criminal offense yet or whatever. And these things can be dismissed or settled or just thrown out of court entirely. I love Lisa Barlow. Like, that's what's so hard to explain to people. It's like, I always say, Lisa Barlow is one of my favorite housewives, but I rarely agree with anything that she says. But my God, I'd fight tooth and nail to keep her on this show. But Heather pretending that she doesn't even know how to read. What's a newspaper? Bronwyn's like, it's everywhere. Have you seen it, Angie? You've seen it. Everybody's seen it. Heather goes, I haven't seen any of this. Have you seen it? And Angie's like, yeah, it's everywhere. Angie says, I love Heather, but right now for you to pretend you didn't see it, I think Stevie Wonder saw it, which actually brings up a point that I've made about Stevie Wonder there's a lot of rumors that he's not actually blind, but I think Angie's making a joke here. Angie in the scene goes, if you're saying you don't know, you're playing stupid. Exactly, Angie K. We've all seen the same things. Lisa talks a big game and then you hear all the other stuff going on. It's weird. Heather says, the whole thing makes me uncomfortable in a talking head. Of course it makes you uncomfortable. You've been so far up Lisa Barlow's asshole, you try to put a beauty lab and laser there at one point. She goes, why Bronwyn thinks she should tell us this? Why everyone at the table seems so riveted by it? Well, it's kind of like your scene of receipts, proof, timeline. What are you fucking talking about? You're on Housewives. Sorry, you guys. Heather in a talking head says, I mean, Lisa and I have worked really hard on our friendship. I believe you've worked really hard on that friendship. She goes, I want to be a supportive friend. So every instinct in my body is like, defend your friend. I'm just thinking about like, what would I want someone to do in that position for me? And then Meredith finally wakes up again and goes, borrowing money is part of doing business. And they're like, it is, but you've got to pay it back. And then Meredith goes, yes, that's correct. I'm actually learning things about business right now. And then Angie goes, Heather, one might say it's similar to what Jen Shah did. And Whitney like does a big zoinks face, like her like jaw unhinges, like, oh. And Heather goes, what the fuck are you spewing from your mouth, Angie K? We could just say Angie, I think. And then Angie's like, wait, that's a bad analogy. Take backsies. In a talking head, Meredith goes, I don't even understand Angie's analogy. These are not criminal charges. This is a civil lawsuit that is yet to go to trial, yet to have anything proved. The state of Utah is not coming after Lisa Barlow, nor is the United States of America. Heather in the scene goes, this is blowing my goddamn mind, to be honest. You're comparing LB to Jen Shah? We can just say Lee. Why does she do the Angie K, the LB? Like, what are we trying to do? Like, what are we doing? And Heather's like, and you two, Angie and Bronwyn are like bonding over this. Silence from the other ladies. Heather in a talking head. Why are we even talking about Jen Shah? We shouldn't be talking about her. The more we talk about it, it puts a spotlight on me, and it makes me look weird because I was so far up Jen Shah's ass like I'm trying to be with Lisa Barlow. She would be great if the talking head. She had two black eyes. We shouldn't even be saying Jen's name. We shouldn't unearth her spirit. She's in prison where she belongs. Oh, now it would be so great if we cut to Jen Shah's prison, and she's in the prison rec room with like a 50-inch flat screen, because she's in like one of those real cushy prisons, and she's like, she's right next to Elizabeth Holmes from Theranos and Ghislaine Maxwell, who's also in that prison now. You know, Elizabeth Holmes is like, I can't believe she said that about you. That's so rude. And Jen's like, ah! In the scene, Bronwyn goes, I know you can't stand me, and you don't have to. And Heather's like, it's not true. But you just said if anybody said, and Heather just keeps going, that's not fucking true. She's like, if anybody compared somebody to Jen, it would be too far. What about when Lisa compared me to Jen? Would that be? And we see a tweet from Lisa's X account. Let's just call it Twitter. Lisa Barlow 7. Yes, she's a snake and no better than Jen, actually, in regards to Bronwyn, right? And Bronwyn's like, Lisa publicly tweeted that. And Heather goes, I didn't hear that. You don't hear a tweet, Heather. I love Heather. I don't know how to tie shoes. But Bronwyn goes, I just told you, Heather. And Heather's like, I'm not on Twitter Googling your fucking name, Bronwyn. You probably have your assistant do it. I don't know. But Bronwyn's like, I'm telling you that's what she just said. And Heather's like, I have a relationship with you based on this, and what I have on you is not great. Heather really getting into the scene. I'm not going to sit here about talking about Lisa's business when you just got red-handed lying about a $4 million necklace. Ooh, boom. Heather with a fucking shot to the stomach. Because let's face it, Bronwyn did lie about the necklace. This is what we said. Bronwyn had such a great freshman season, but you can't lie about the little big things, right? We flash back to the reunion where Andy's like, Bronwyn talked to me about one of the most lavish gifts we've ever seen on the Housewives, that $4 million necklace. And Bronwyn's like, oh, yes. And Andy's like, I kind of thought you were going to wear the necklace to the reunion. And Bronwyn's like, I thought about it because I thought that would clear up a lot of questions. And Andy's like, what questions? Whether or not I have it and can wear it, that would clear that right up. Yes. Because remember Lisa Barlow, like the jeweler and Lisa Barlow were in cahoots for some reason. In the scene, Heather goes, is that retaliation to the necklace? Bronwyn's like, it is my fault. I should not have tried to be cutesy about it. And Heather goes, you didn't own the necklace. And I said I shouldn't have said it that way. I shouldn't have. So this is where Bronwyn's credibility does take a hit, right? And also, if I was Bronwyn and somebody made me look like an idiot, it would be natural to think, yeah, that doesn't endear me to somebody like Lisa Barlow trying to take me down. It's Survivor. And Bronwyn's like, I was trying to protect myself and the jeweler, and it came out sounding like a lie. And that's bad on me. That's my bad. My bad. In a talking head, she goes, I knew I wasn't going to buy this necklace, but I made the girls believe that I had it by saying, when I wear it, you'll see it, thinking that I would get a different version and they wouldn't notice the difference. That is, in effect, lying, and that's wrong. Lying is bad. Todd can't afford it because he's collecting Starbucks mugs from across the world. She continues, how did that become more important to me than my integrity or the importance of Todd and I's anniversary or being tough enough to not give a damn what anyone else thinks? Like I really acted so immature in that moment to be cool. It would be great if she's like smoking a cigarette the whole time. I've started smoking to try to be like the cool kids. What am I even doing? My mother always said, if your cool friends wanted to jump off a mountain, would you follow them, Bronwyn? Unfortunately, last year I would have jumped. Brittany goes, all you have to say, Bronwyn, is, I lied, I'm sorry, the end. And then Bronwyn fires back, well, let me know when you've cleared up the lies you told, boo-boo. Now, listen, I don't like when Heather gives nicknames, but I will allow Bronwyn to go, boo-boo. Let me know when you've cleared up the lies you told, boo-boo. And then Mary Cosby goes, right, exactly, amen. So if Mary says it, a woman of faith, a woman of the cloth, we know Jesus is against boo-boo Brittany as well. And then Brittany goes, don't call me boo-boo. That's so condescending. Don't call me boo-boo. Heather goes, does everyone here know what it's like to not be on a trip with your friends and have all of them talk about you? And Mary goes, I do. I was on a trip with my friends, and Meredith keeps going, yes. And I went to bed, Mary says, and my friends, Lisa, talked about me. Yes. Angie goes, she has said some things, and she has had information outside of Brittany about everyone here at the table. And then we do this great Lisa Barlow. Lisa Barlow's so damn entertaining, man. We have a flashback of all of Lisa's greatest hits. I heard that Sean does circle jerks. That's what she just said to me. And then another one where Lisa goes, Meredith said I had mental health issues. Oh my God. No, I don't pop pills, bitch. He goes, no, I don't pop pills, bitch. You do. And then another scene where Lisa goes, everyone has religious trauma, being a member of Mary's church. And he mortgaged his house and gave her $300,000. And then another one where Whitney's like, you plant things about my marriage and my business. And then Lisa goes, go get your proof, and then I'm going to sue the fuck out of you. I'm hanging out with Blake Lively, and she knows her way around a lawsuit. And then another scene where Lisa and Meredith, Lisa's like, I think Heather was like, honor code, what? And then another one with Brittany's jewelry. She said you guys didn't buy it, or the hoop earrings. And Bronwyn's like, it's very weird you would tell someone else what I did or didn't buy, Lisa. She said you didn't purchase a thing. And Lisa Barlow, man, legend. Angie K in the scene goes, she happens to have information on everyone's finances, businesses, marriages, documents. Remember when they said the same thing about Meredith that one season too? But Angie's like, I can see why you feel like you had to say, well, I know this about you too. And Bronwyn's like, I'm not saying she's a liar. I'm not saying she owes that money. I'm not saying she stole it. She's a fraud. It's a little weird. And Heather's like, you're saying you're giving me material for my third book. I'm actually not saying that, Heather. And Brittany's like, you said you heard. And Heather's like, back away, back away, back away. Angie goes, to be clear, I'm not happy to hear this. And I'm not saying anything I wouldn't say to her face. Yes, Lisa, I've heard about your lawsuit. I would say that. And Heather's like, you wouldn't say that to her face. Angie's like, I will. I'll tell her we talked about her. I'll tell her it came up. And Heather goes, well, don't say I was here. Heather, don't say, no, you can't prove I was here. And then she does a shot. And everybody just is like, cut to break. We come back from break and Meredith is telling the ladies, let's deal with it with Lisa. We don't need to do this behind her back because, and Bronwyn's like, I'm not trying to do it behind her back. And Meredith is like, I don't like it, whatever you're doing. And Mary goes, I don't care. I can do it with her or without her. I'm good. Well, I don't like how the whole conversation is going. And I think we should pivot, And then Brittany goes, she brings up her Perrier and she goes, ding, 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 ding. Hey, guys. When Brittany wants to make an announcement, you're like, oh, shit. Ding, 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 ding. I have an announcement. Everybody's like, oh, shit. Okay. Angie goes, it's been a minute. She stands up. Jared and I are engaged. We got engaged. Silence from the ladies. Silence. And then everybody's like, what? And she's like, yes. And she's like, is this real? And Brittany's like, yes, it is real. It is real. Yes. And then we get Jared Osmond in a video with Brittany hugging his shoulder. And he's like, this gorgeous woman is changing her last name. And Brittany's like, it's true. Look. And holds up a ring to the video. And Jared's like, it's true. It's true. And Brittany's like, look what happened. Wow. To go from somebody where he would put you in the grocery cart at Costco to this, amazing. And then Brittany tells the ladies, and tink, 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 we got unengaged. Womp, womp. Mary's like, 2 weeks after that, we flash back to the video and Jared's like, Mrs. Osmond, I love this girl. I want to share a charcuterie tray for the rest of our life with this girl. Mary Cosby goes, what in the world? And Angie's like, well, that was short and sweet. Whitney like puts her head to the table. Heather in a talking head goes, Brittany doesn't understand what an announcement is. Just like you don't understand what a lawsuit or a newspaper is, Heather. Heather goes, I think we need to explain to her the nature of an announcement and that it is negated immediately after. It is therefore no longer an announcement, but just something we don't mention at all. Brittany goes, we just decided that our kids weren't on board and we really want our kids to be a part of it. And they were not happy because we were so on and off last year. And so we decided to call it off. God, this kid seems smart as hell, man. Heather goes, is he dating other women? And Brittany's like, no, I don't think so. And Heather's like, are you still seeing him? And she goes, oh yeah, definitely. Oh yeah. Like every day. Yeah. And Mary goes, oh God, help me, Lord. Oh God. Whitney goes, I run into Jared at the gym all the time. Brittany goes, yeah. And Whitney goes, and he appears to be single. How do you appear to be single at the gym? Like, sorry, I go to the gym, I look down and I cry. Like, I love that Jared gives off a single vibe at the gym. Like, hey, can I work in, ladies? But Brittany's like, what do you mean he appears single? Let's just say I never see him on a machine. Maybe he works there. But when he goes, I see him in the Lifetime Cafe on dates, and he introduces me to them. And Brittany's like, wait, he did what? And Heather goes, well, first of all, is it considered a date if you're at the Lifetime Cafe? And then Whitney's like, hey, the Lifetime Cafe is amazing. You'd be surprised. Don't sleep on the chicken salad. And Mary goes, ha, 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 ha. I love Whitney's passionate about her business and the cafe at the gym. Don't sleep on the chicken Caesar wrap. Andrew goes, okay, well, I think this is a good time to break. We have some fun activities planned before the sun goes down. And Heather's like, what do we got, Ange? Well, we've got 2 activities, and I think you're going to be really excited about. The first time we went camping in an RV, we went fly fishing, and we see a picture of Sean and Electra in 2017. And Andrew's like, and Electra caught her first fish. It was super exciting. It's a great camping activity. Everybody looks at her straight-faced. And the second activity is we're going to hunt people. No, she goes, kayak. Heather goes, kayaking. I want a kayak. Angie goes, I want to fly fish. Mary's like, Meredith, you gonna go fishing with me? And Meredith goes, I mean, with you, yes. That's a no-brainer. I would love to go fly fishing with Mary Cosby. Yeah, come on. When he goes, I'm going to go kayaking with Heather and Bronwyn. Will you come with us? And Bronwyn's like, yes. And Angie's like, don't throw her overboard. And Heather's like, ha, 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 ha. We'll see if all three of us make it back. Ha, 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 ha. Bronwyn's like, who would find my body? I will, Bronwyn, or the Todd father. I'm looking for Bronwyn's body. Where is it? Help me, Seth. So we see these two dudes, the fly fisher and the people teaching them how to fly fish. And Brittany has her video camera and she's recording Heather coming out. Like, look at you, Heather. You're such a babe. Look at you. Do a little high kick. Yeah. So the two guys, he's like, hey, I'm Joe. I'm the fishing guide. Brittany's like, this is Mary. I'm Brittany. Well, we're going to put some waders and boots on you. And so first of all, I want you to come over here and have a seat. Slide these on. It's like a giant garbage bag. Brittany, you're used to wearing those. I can help you get into that one. And they're like, should we take our shoes off? Like, they don't even know how to put these on. Brittany's still filming the ladies with her video camera. Okay, stand up, ladies, and then you can hike those up, your pants, when they're ready. Mary's like, I don't know how to hike my pants up. Help me! Well, we want to get suited up and grab some oars, and then we'll head right out there to the kayak. So the ladies now have split up, kayaks and fly fishermen, right? And Heather is in the same kayak as Bronwyn. Super uncomfy right there, right? Heather is taking her paddle and acting like she's hitting Bronwyn on the back of the head. And Whitney's like, Heather and Bronwyn are a tough case. I'm going to stick them in this kayak until they work out their problems. You need some bonding time. I'm going to parent trap them. Bronwyn's like, I'm so screwed. Heather in a tuck and head goes, perhaps I'll take this opportunity how to do a kayak death roll. Maybe you'll do the kayak death roll. And then Heather goes, hopefully she won't get stuck. Bronwyn keeps going, I'm really screwed. This is the river wild. Anyways, Heather opens her yapper and she's like, I wrote a book about a chapter about reading the river and how it's a metaphor for life. And so you're in good hands. Heather's like, honestly, let's just enjoy this. And Bronwyn's like, it's really pretty, actually. It's beautiful. In a talking head, she goes, who knew it could be this simple to be friends with Heather? I just have to literally sit behind her, take a back seat, be a second paddle, and, not make eye contact. And we'll get along just fine. Heather in a talking head goes, I was just ripping farts the whole time because I knew it was just blowing back on Bronwyn. I wish she had said that. And Whitney has gone so far ahead of these ladies. And you just hear Whitney going, yay, woo, yay. And then we see Meredith and Mary and I think Angie K. They're fly fishing. And I will say, to watch Meredith and Mary Cosby fly fish, I never even knew that was on my vision board, but it is. This is truly, and Meredith's like, sure, you just take the pole and you make like a rainbow? I'm a good rainbow thrower. Yeah, throw the rainbow. Yeah. Oh, Brittany's there too. And Brittany's like, I'm a pro. And Angie throws her like line into the water. He's like, well, make sure you don't slam the rod into the water. Oh. In a talking head, Angie K goes, my dad's a fisherman and I never understood why he loved it so much. But when you go fly fishing and you're out in nature and you cast your wire or whatever you call it, Brittany's like, Angie, how's it going over there? It's just so relaxing and so beautiful and just quiet. Brittany keeps talking, Angie. And Meredith goes, come on, little fishies. It's me, Meredith Marks. Come on. In a talking head, Meredith's like, I'm not really a fisherman. We know, Meredith. It reminds me of that Saturday Night Live sketch with Martin Short where he's like, I'm not really a strong swimmer. I'm not really a fisherman. Fishy, fishy. I don't know anything about fish other than it's where I get my Meredith Marks caviar. And we see her Ocetra from $95 and her 24 karat Kaluga from $90. And she smiles, I got in a product placement plug on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. She asks one of the guys, how long does this typically take to catch a fish? Seth Marks pops out on the line. You caught me, babe. Let's get in the water like we do with the bathtubs and you can put your toes up my anus. All right. But the guide goes, $1 million question there, Meredith. Well, I'm asking, is it like 5 minutes or 5 hours? He goes, we call it fishing, not catching. Mary Cosby goes, I'll feel bad. I want to throw it back out and free it. First of all, he's going to choke the fish. I'm going to have to try to resuscitate it. And Meredith goes, how do you do that? And then Mary goes, hey, what's your name again? To the guide. What's your name again? The guide goes, Dusty. Mary Cosby goes, Gusty? Gusty? He goes, Dusty again. Gusty? He says, Dusty again. Gusty would know. Nobody's doing it like Mary Cosby. And then the fisherman finally accepts that she's not going to get his name right. He's like, yeah, we can't bring the fish back to life once you've killed them, I bet Mary Cosby could do. She has that kind of power. Mary smiling goes, you can't bring him back? Ah, what? In a talking head, Mary goes, that's not true. I would just put it on the side of a rock and do CPR. And even Meredith goes, wait, what? Mary keeps talking, and I think you do it like to this one song, and then in the talking head, Mary goes like, and she's like trying to do the CPR, like giving him some like little CPR or something. Could you imagine, like, if, oh God, I mean, I know I would hate to be in a situation where Mary would have to give me CPR, but at the same time, how iconic would it be if Mary was the one giving you CPR? You'd like, oh my God, it's Mary Cosby. Amazing. But I looked up this, like the little song. She's like, the little song. There is a couple of songs that you can do, and I shit you not, look this up. One of them is Staying Alive by Bee Gees. Ha, 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 staying alive. You can do like, and I tell by the way I'm in a woman, man, no time to talk. That's actually a CPR song. I shit you not. But Mary keeps going, you push them, like make sure their fins are flapping up. In the scene, she goes, you have to bring the fish back to life and throw it back in. And then the talking head, Mary's like, and I hope he would live for the rest of his days. And then we hear a flat line sound that the producers put in. And then Mary Cosby's laughing with her waiters. She's like, ha, 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 ha. And then Meredith turns to Gusty and she's like, but seriously, like most days, how long does it take to catch one? I've got things to do. Okay, and here's where this episode really pisses me off. We come back from break and we're on the Heather cam. And she's asking one of the guides, she's like, hey, is this not like the area where the legend of Molly Sorensen happened? And the guide's like, it is. It is? She was a fundamentalist Mormon, Heather says, that made it her mission to find girls that would come up here to make out with their boyfriends or sin, and she would kidnap them and then sacrifice them. And he's like, that is the story. Heather goes, have you ever heard anything here? He goes, yeah, we've heard screams all throughout the night. That's probably Brittany Bateman. He goes, oh, we've heard screams all through the night. And Heather's like, weird. You'd think they'd be the owls first. Some people come up missing. And Heather's like, you think we'll be okay? He goes, just listen. Just listen. And Heather goes, we got a lot of sinners. And he goes, I'll check on you. Heather goes, I appreciate it. Okay, so this Molly Sorensen, I was like, whoa, what is this? Because it gets brought up in a second here again. And guess what? You go to the old interwebs, and usually you can find anything there. And Molly Sorensen, all you find is this poor girl getting a lot of internet coverage. Just seems like a normal girl. If I find out this is bullshit, and it seems so far to be bullshit, this pisses me off. And I need to know, is this the producers saying it would be funny if you set up the legend of Molly Sorensen and say it's some like BYU spooky story that gets passed around? I put in every type of Google search, like Molly Sorensen haunting, Molly Sorensen Mormon, Molly Sorensen Provo. Nothing shows up for this. You would think there would be some Reddit thread, something. So either the producers made Heather say this or Heather is making this up, thinking this is a funny bit. If Heather, I just want clarification. I want Heather in the next episode to say this is bullshit. But like, if this is just fake for the sake of being fake, I need this to be some sort of reality. Not Molly Sorensen, but this just show in general, right? But Heather's like, scary, she says to the camera. And then we cut to more music. And now it's The Night Has Fallen on the campsite. And Mary's like, let's make the fire, Whitney. I'm coming. Mary's like, I'm hungry. And Mary's like, I'm an expert now. I'm a professional fire maker. You set my fire. You're a professional set fire maker, Meredith. Yeah. So Meredith's lighting the fire. And she's trying to light the fire. And we flash back to last year when Meredith couldn't make a fire. And Heather's like, you got to build a teepee so the air can get in. Maybe Molly Sorensen can teach us how to make a fire. And then we see that Meredith is doing caviar bumps. And he's like, a little caviar for the fire. Heather in her cam says, I'm walking to see Meredith trying to light the fire. And Meredith's like, there we go. I finally lit it. Yes. When he's like, you got it, Meredith. I love the way the fire smells. So they're all setting up like these chairs around the fire. Everybody's like, I'm starving. It smells good. What are we having? And Angie's like, the food is on the dinner table over there in our beautiful dining room in nature. So everyone's going to cook their own dinners. And Mary goes, boo, boo to that idea. Heather's like, there's conflict with the hostesses. Boo. Angie goes, she didn't love the idea. Heather goes, I'm excited. What are those? And there's veggie burgers. Heather says she's going to do a hot dog brigade. And Heather's like, who got the whole wheat bread? And then Meredith's like, what about the wine opener? When he's like, I got it, Meredith. I've got the wine opener. So we got booze. We got a hot dog brigade. There's 4 skewers for the hot dogs. And this is how the settlers used to do it, folks. Watching Mary try to light a veggie burger over an open flame is amazing. And they're like, Mary, is that totally raw? And Mary's like, I don't know. And the talking head, Mary goes, to cook my food on a stick on some open fire? This ain't working. This is actually wrong. I think I'm going to just starve tonight, Mary says. Bronwyn's like, I can't believe Angie and Mary are going to stay friends if Mary is eating a dry-ass bagel because there's nothing else she's interested in eating. We see Mary just taking bites of a bagel whole. When he's like, Ange, how did you expect that we cook these? And she's holding like a thing, like a big bag of asparagus. And Angie's like, I know, we needed a griddle, right? Brittany's like, the last time I had an asparagus, there's like violins playing in the background. I mean, asparagus is fancy schmancy. Asparagus is not that fancy schmancy. What are you talking about? She goes, it is not meant for an RV BBQ night. It's when Jared Osmond's trying to get these panties off. Woo! And then Angie goes, let's eat the asparagus raw. And when he's like, raw? Heather goes, Angie K, where are the hot dog buns? Do you have any ketchup? Whitney says. So it seems like Angie forgot a lot of things, right? And Angie's like, you guys are so ungrateful. Just eat the hot dog. Stop asking for condiments. In a talking head, Angie says, we're supposed to be coming one with nature and be minimalists. They're trying to live off the grid like the Unabomber. We see Angie trying to eat one of the hot dogs off one of the skewers. And Heather's like, no one wants to watch you eat that hot dog. I can promise you that. I want to watch it. When he's like, eat it, Angie K. Angie says, the truth is, I actually forgot everything. But that's the story I'm selling to the ladies. Heather goes, Bronwyn, when you were at BYU, did you ever hear of creepy stuff about the good time girl, Heather Gay? No, she goes, did you ever hear about creepy stuff that would happen at Provo Canyon? And Bronwyn's like, of course I did. Yes, of course. And everybody's like, what? Heather goes, girls would go missing. Angie's like, is this true? And Bronwyn's like, I've heard stories. Heather goes, I don't want to put a damper on this trip, but like this canyon is notorious for some like freaky shit happening. And I mean, the legend is Molly Sorensen. Dun, dun, dun. The polygamous girl who escaped the colony and has been seeking retaliation on the community ever since. And Bronwyn shakes her head like, yes, of course. Yes. And Heather goes, on young girls mostly. Well, these ladies are fine then. I mean, they're of a certain age. And Angie's like, Angie goes, what community? But Meredith does it. Meredith goes, well, we're not young. And Heather goes, I'm not saying we're at risk. I'm just saying this is like, there's some freaky stuff, right? Girls go missing, women that had sinned, she would like basically bring to justice. In a talking head, Heather goes, I never would have been a good time girl at BYU because I knew the legend of Molly Sorensen. And what happens to good time girls? We talked about it all the time at BYU, especially when we were freshmen, you know. We never left the dorms alone. Bullshit! Stop lying to us! Mary Cosby in a talking head goes, if Molly Sorensen was real, she would have came and fixed this food. That's what Molly needed to do. She needed to come over there and be feeding us. And Molly didn't show up, so I don't believe her. I don't believe in her. Heather keeps going with this bullshit. Basically, the legend is that she's still out there. So Meredith goes, why did we pick coming here then? It would be great if Molly Sorensen is a friend of this season. You know, like, I'm Molly. She's just like a ghost that pops up. Angie goes, we forgot to Google murders in Provo Canyon. Well, I did Google it, and you don't find shit. Whitney goes, Angie didn't do the research. As she's chomping on a raw asparagus. So Heather goes, you guys might be surprised at seeing me help Bronwyn with her hot dog. And Angie's like, I know it's kind of interesting. Just hours ago, you two were going at it. Heather goes, when you're in nature and like it puts everything in perspective. It was so beautiful. And Bronwyn's like, it was. We kayaked it out. And everyone's like, wow. And Angie's like, is it really nature? Do you think it's just fun that we're on a trip without Lisa and you can actually just be yourself? Oh, damn. Heather's like, don't you dare talk about Lisa. The spirit of Molly Sorensen is taking over Heather Gay's body. Heather goes, that's a shitty thing to say, Angie K. And Angie's like, no, really though. Heather goes, you don't think I'm myself around Lisa? And Angie's like, would you be nice to Bronwyn if Lisa was here tonight? Heather goes, I think I would have had that moment with her on the kayak for sure. Angie goes, I'm happy to see you that you can be yourself. And Heather goes, well, are you? And Angie's like, well, that's why I'm pointing it out. Heather goes, my stuff about Bronwyn, hold on, she's chewing a hot dog. My stuff with Bronwyn is not about Lisa. It's not. And I thought it was worse that you jumped on. It was worse. And Whitney goes, but like, it's hard if you're on the outs. I think Lisa, Heather goes, who feels on the outs with Lisa right now besides Bronwyn? Everybody's silent for a second. And Whitney kind of rolls her eyes. Hello. The very next day after New York, Lisa went online and started calling me a liar again, and it was horrible. More of Lisa's tweets pop up on the screen. I buy and keep my clothing, so it's very different. Whitney lied. Tin Roof Rusted. And Meredith goes, and you didn't do anything online, Whitney? I haven't done one thing. I stayed off. Brittany goes, I think that's a little hypocritical. I have a question. Mary Cosby goes, oh, God. Brittany goes, why would you say something so horrific? Like, you, I can't even say it. It's so crass. You do Jared for money, Brittany says. Whitney's face reaction on this is great. It's like, what? Everybody's shaking their heads. Heather goes, is Brittany part of the same conversation that we're having? Because Brittany's timing is terrible. It's almost as bad as her taste in men, which is atrocious. Rim shot. Tip your waiters, ladies and gentlemen. Whitney goes, I didn't say you did it. And Brittany's like, yes, you did. You said, why do you have sex with Jared for money? I posed it as a question. And Angie goes, she didn't say have sex. She said suck dick. Thank you, Angie K. When you came for my business, I put it back on you, Brittany. And I said, what do you do for money? And Brittany goes, exactly. And what does that have to do? And she goes, and that I said, do you suck Jared's dick? I'm sorry that I said that. And Brittany's like, what does that have to do with people shading your business online? Because it hurts, Brittany. Brittany goes, you literally out of the blue said, Brittany, USD. Because you out of the blue brought up my business, Brittany. No, because you were trying to shade Lisa. I was not trying to shade Lisa. And Brittany's like, I was defending her. Then why would you say that when you were like getting dragged on social media? Oh my God, Brittany. That is a new low, Whitney, and I'm really disappointed. A real new low. Bronwyn rolls her eyes and Whitney's like, I had a business that failed. That's it. Everybody's like, what? Oh my God, she's talking about it. I'm like, oh, what? Justin went all in with me, and now we have nothing. We had to take back Bobby's golf cart we got her for her birthday. And then we cut to commercial. Come back from break, and Whitney's like, okay, I don't have a business. Pending lawsuits and is in like legal turmoil. I have a business that failed. I had to fire 30 employees. Do you think that was fun? No. Braun was like, I didn't know that. I failed at something that I was really excited about. Inexpensive jewelry from Alibaba. I was really excited about something that started as a massive success, Brittany. In a talking head, Whitney goes, I'm no stranger to the ebbs and flows of business, but I have never actually had something that just flat out tanked. We're talking millions, thousands of customers. And it's so emotionally hard for me because I don't just fail myself. I failed all my employees. I failed my customers. I failed my family. I feel like the weight of everyone that this has affected. Okay, I will say, listen, it is so fucking refreshing for somebody to be honest about failures because my God, don't we fail every day? Don't we fail every day? And, you know, I don't think this is talked about enough in terms of housewives and their business, because they're able to use this platform to promote their businesses and not all of them succeed. So it's really interesting. And I do applaud Whitney I think this is a good storyline in the sense, like just lean into the honesty of this moment. Don't try to hide it. And I think people will respect her for this, right? And she tells the ladies, and I'm cleaning up all this shit from it. So I don't need my friends bringing this shit on a girls trip and rubbing it in my face. And that's why you suck dick for money, Brittany. And then Brittany goes, I'm sorry, Whit. So I don't think you are, because why would you sling mud at me today? Why would you bring it up? And she goes, I was just defending Lisa. So maybe learn the lessons that unless you know facts, don't go there. And Brittany goes, I didn't give any facts. And Bronwyn has facts. There are court documents against Lisa. And Brittany's like, I didn't have any facts about you. Why are TikTokers that want to get famous off of my failure? Okay, you guys have to help me out. What TikTokers is she talking about? What TikTokers I've just become addicted to TikTok in the last couple of months. And what TikTokers? Can somebody fill me in on this? I loved it. Like Whitney and the TikTokers, there's like a feud, East Coast, West Coast. Like, people are trying to get famous on TikTok off of my failures. I just want you to have the facts. And I'm not scared to admit it. And I think that's what I'm alluding to with Lisa, is if she would be a little more open, she'd probably find friendship where she can lean on and people can discuss the truth and not keep up a fake facade. And Brittany's like, I think that's fair. I'm really sorry. I think that she's totally fucking right though about Lisa, but that's not in Lisa's DNA. Lisa's one of those people, and we see it from the highest levels of office, just like, everyday people like us, is that there are people that are so committed to the lie. They will never admit defeat. And you can think that's like, in some ways that's a talent, right? They will never let you see them sweat. They will never give you the truth. Failure is not an option. Even if they're failing, they will do everything in their power to never be honest about it. So it is refreshing, but I totally get Whitney's point. So Whitney's like, my bad. Heather goes, I've had many, many businesses failures before Beauty Lab. Which I would love to more. Like, was there MLMs? What was there? What did she fail at? Lemonade stands? But Heather goes, we don't talk about our losses. We don't talk about the failures, ever. Everyone talks about the wins, but the losses, Brian was like, the losses is where you learn something. You should talk about the loss. And Angie says, I have to say too, it takes a lot of courage to be an entrepreneur, or to take a risk, or to start your own business. And thanks for being vulnerable and real, because I think any of us that are in business or have had our own business, how hard it is. And Brittany says, I'm sorry, Whit, again, and walks over to Whitney. And Whitney's like, and I have to watch my back every day that someone's going to write a story. And Brittany leans down to hug her from behind. And Whitney's like, ugh, I'm not ready for a hug, Britt. I'm not ready for a hug. And Brittany's like, sorry. And Whitney's like, I've got to get all the way through this first. And then Brittany goes, well, I still want an apology for the dick sucking. And everybody's like, oh my God. Even Mary Cosby's like, what? Oh my God. Brittany. And she's like, Brittany is like a child. And she's like pouring her heart out. And Brittany's like, I can still give you sympathy and still, think that's a shitty thing to say. Angie goes, sympathy first, and then you can, and Brittany's like, they're not mutually exclusive, Angie's like, sympathy first and apology later, Brittany. In a talking head, Brittany goes, it doesn't make any sense why Whitney can say whatever she wants and get away with it, but then I make the slightest little gaffe and I have to fall all over myself apologizing. Brittany, because hers is based in reality. You don't actually suck dick for money, unless that's a storyline somewhere. Like, you probably suck D for free, or you don't suck D at all, but like, that's a joke. It's a petty, stupid joke. Yours was based in reality. That's what's the difference here. Angie goes, Brittany, you have like come in hot. And Brittany goes, I'm just clapping back and standing up for myself. It's like she took a course in Housewives over the break. I have what refers to notes, clapping back. I'm coming in hard this season. I'm standing up for myself. I felt like I was a punching bag and I don't want that anymore. And Meredith goes, Brittany, we don't want to hear it. Sorry. Meredith goes, the one person who was kind to you, you went after. Brittany goes, who, you? Meredith goes, I'm not interested. Brittany goes, Meredith, you turned on me on a dime. It'd be great if Meredith was like, you do suck dick for money, Brittany. And then we flash again to that car of Angie going, Brittany, why are you recording the conversation? You need to leave. I've had enough of you. You are vile, vile. Brittany and around the fire goes, we were good friends, Meredith. No, we were never good friends, Brittany. Yes, we were. We were barely even friends. I barely even knew you. No, that's not true, Meredith. Do not lie. And Brittany goes, oh, lie? Oh, lie? Meredith goes, how many times have I talked to you on the telephone, Brittany? Brittany goes, really? Really? Have I ever picked up the phone and called you? And Brittany's like, yes, you have. Meredith goes, once. Brittany's like, twice. And everybody's laughing. Meredith goes, oh, we're very good friends then. And we went to lunch for a couple of hours. I thought that was nice. Don't laugh. And I think it's Whitney going, they talked on the phone twice. Brittany goes, well, you used me. I used you. Oh, yeah. Brittany goes, yeah, as a punching match with your latent aggression. Latent aggression? Where did Brittany, who's got the big brain on Brit? Brittany in a talking head goes, Meredith sees me as the weakest link, and she can just go after me like a target. I absolutely think that, but she doesn't know me that well. What does that mean? I mean, Brittany's coming in hot. She's right. Meredith goes, I don't need a thing from you. I find you to be absolutely uninteresting. I have zero respect for you. Brittany goes, thanks, Meredith. You're a gem. And so are you, lovely. Heather goes, Meredith, Meredith. Oh, Meredith. Now Heather pipes up, listen, I have done a little research on the legend of Molly Sorensen. I swear to God, Heather, if you say Molly Sorensen one more damn time, you liar. Mary goes, isn't it time for us to go to bed? Heather goes, don't you want to do a little investigating, Mary? I don't even want to do a little investigating. You think Mary did? Mary goes, not really. Heather goes, let's go on a little tour and see what we can find. In a talking head, Mary goes, what if there really is something coming to get us? Yeah, it's called the Bravo audience. What are you talking about? And Mary's like, yeah, like in a scary movie. In any scary movie, the black person always gets killed first. They always die first. Mary's very astute. But Mary's like, I don't know why, but has anybody else ever noticed that? Mary could do stand-up. Angie goes, no, wait, are you sure? And Heather goes, yes, are you kidding me? I think we should. The producers are like, yeah, we're actually kind of making you guys do it. Heather goes, if anything happens, scream. Okay? Our last commercial break of the episode. Okay, so this is where Brittany's camcorders come into play because it's all part of the script for this episode. And like, are we ready? And we're on Whitney's cam right now. And everybody's like, what are we looking for? And everybody's like, Heather's like, anything spooky. Stay in tune with yourself. If anything happens, scream. That's the first rule. Noise is our friend. God, you ladies would scare fucking Molly Sorensen off completely. So this is where it starts to really look like Blair Witch. We see an owl go, hoo, hoo. The owl's like, I like Beverly Hills better. Hoo, hoo. Heather's like, think of the legend of Provo Canyon. Okay? Think of the things we heard at BYU. All you heard at BYU is soaking. Like, I'm the jump pumper. I'm feeling it. The motion of the ocean. Woo, soaking. Hot dog in the bun. That's what you heard at BYU. But she's like, yeah, think of what we heard around the campfire growing up. And most of all, think of the fact that Molly Sorensen is still on the hunt. This is so Scooby-Doo. It's so camp. Whitney hears something. She's like, what is that I just heard? Heather goes, she looks for women with loose morals. Uh-oh, Brittany. Heather Cams has Brittany screaming, ah! Don't shine that on me, Heather. And now they're wading in water. And Mary's like, why are we walking in the wet mud? We hear, ooh, did you hear that? Brittany goes, I don't like this, let go. And then all of a sudden they're running. You see branches. And somebody goes, I don't know how to get home. How do we get home? And then Brittany has this this camera shot from underneath her chin. She's like, I'm so scared. Tell Jared I love him. I do give money blowjobs. I don't know what to do. And Mary's like, I can't go forward. I need to go back. My caviar company depends on me. Turn around. And now they're just all screaming and making noise. Stop, stop. Heather, you're the one that brought us out here. And Heather looks like she's crying. And Mary goes, I have no phone reception. I have no nothing. I just want to go home. Brooks, I love you. Oh, what is that? Oh my God, what is that? I gotta go. Meredith. Oh my God. End of episode. Ooh. And then all of a sudden we hit a little of a short preview for the season where this is crazy, you guys. A flag pops up and this is so crazy because I did some research and this is the Greek flag. And I couldn't find anything on Molly Sorensen, but I did find like a little article when I was really digging. And it says, and I don't know if this will be a storyline at some point, Angie Katsanevas is Greek. Yeah. I'm not bullshitting. She's full fucking Greek, you guys. I like when I say that joke every time there's somebody that does a comment of like, how can you not know she's Greek, Ryan? You're such an idiot. I am an idiot. But anyways, we see this little preview of a house ruled by image. Truth is the only scandal. And we see Meredith in a wig going, stop with your lies. And Lisa Barlow going, I have no secrets. And Mary Cosby with a knife through her head, like a Halloween costume, goes, say it one more time. I'm going to lose my mind. And then the narration goes, gossip grows like mold in this family. And Heather saying, we all need to own things. And then Angie telling Lisa, tell me the truth, Lisa. Everyone wore guilt in their eyes. And then Bronwyn saying, we have to be honest about this. And then Meredith crying, I'm afraid. This season on The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Yay! They obviously take a trip to Greece. We see a boat for the below deck down under episodes where Jason's like, we're going to get you wet and we're going to get you in the water. I mean, the other way around. And Whitney asking Mary, how's Robert Jr.? And Mary's like, some days he's good, some days he's not. In a talking head, Mary crying, saying, I know God will work it out. Ugh. And then Lisa getting a tarot, and the tarot guy's like, what's the water sign? And she's like, my husband. He goes, why do you feel like you're just rebuilding trust? There's like a gnat in this room, you guys. Fuck. Hey, why do you feel like you're rebuilding trust? And Lisa's like, I don't know. And then Bronwyn saying, why would she say, don't tell John that I borrowed the money? And Whitney's like, is this the mystery man that Andrew talks about? And Bronwyn's like, yes. So that's obviously something to do with the lawsuits. And then Brittany saying, I saw something today about a mistress. And then Bronwyn telling Mary, what if I'm wrong and I'm going to look like a fool and he humiliates me? And then Lisa screaming, you question every single fucking thing I have. And Mary in a scene with Angie going, you're supposed to be my sister. And Angie K going, I am your sister. No, you're not. No, you're not. Find another one, Mary says, okay? And then Heather going, walk the fuck away. And then Lisa walking down the boat steps going, I've never done anything to them. Oh, you guys, did we have some fun? We had a little fun, right? This was a supersized episode, podcast for a supersized episode of Salt Lake City. I really appreciate you guys being here. We'll tighten it up as the season continues, but this was a good place to start, right? What are your thoughts? Remember, these are characters. It's performance art in my book. Bronwyn, I think, is going to have a second season slump. What else? Anything else that sticks out to you guys? I can't wait to see Meredith get more activated. I can't wait for Lisa Barlow to come back, but we will be recapping it all this entire season. So tell your friends, grab your popcorn, and wherever you are on this Wednesday, I hope you're having a good one, and we'll be back on Thursday with an all-new episode of So Bad It's Good. Bye, you guys.